Now, WLOX First Alert Weather with meteorologist Taylor Graham.
Within the next 24 to 48 hours, we are looking at some big changes here in terms of our weather. Of course, today it was warm, a little humid at times, and just like this morning, patchy dense fog is going to be possible again tonight. But a big cold front arrives by the end of tomorrow, making it turn cool and breezy just in time for Halloween. And we'll talk about this in just a few moments. There's a chance that a few of us may be dealing with some patchy frost by the middle to end of the week. But that's clearly not the case right now. We're still sitting in the upper 70s and low 80s. It's very warm, even for us here along the Gulf Coast by the end of October. By our standards even, it's a little bit warm. No rain out there this evening. We've been pretty much completely dry today, and it's all thanks to an area of high pressure that's still sitting nearby, but it's beginning to move a little bit farther to the east, allowing this front to slowly push a bit farther south. But it's going to be picking up steam tomorrow and into Tuesday, and because of that, things are really going to be cooling down. And we can see the spread in temperatures ahead of the front and behind the front. 37 in Kansas City, but clearly we're still in the 80s here. However, Memphis already feeling the effects of that front. They've dropped into the low 60s, and that cooler air is really expected to move in by the end of tomorrow afternoon and also tomorrow evening. That's when we're going to notice the change. But as for tonight, we're only cooling down into the mid to upper 60s. Some spots on the coast may even struggle to get into the 60s at times. As we get into midday tomorrow, this is a bit of a tricky temperature forecast. If the front has already started to push through, some of us may already start to cool back down into the 60s. For the most part, though, we'll see temperatures top out in the mid to upper 70s by the early part of Monday afternoon. Once we get into Monday evening, though, temperatures really begin to drop. We'll easily fall into the 40s and 50s waking up on Tuesday morning. And by Tuesday afternoon for Halloween, yeah, temperatures not going to be climbing too much. We'll see those highs only in the low to mid 60s. The wind is also going to be picking up throughout the day tomorrow. We'll see that brisk wind out of the north. Gusts over 20 miles per hour will be possible. And throughout the day on Halloween, it is going to stay pretty breezy. So I keep saying this, but hopefully your costume is warm this year. It's going to be breezy and chilly by the time we get to trick-or-treating on Halloween, especially once we get past the sunset. That's when temperatures will begin to drop back down into the 50s. And check this out, waking up on Wednesday morning, some inland spots could be dropping into the 30s. That's where we may have to watch for a little patchy frost. I'm not as concerned for that for areas right along the coast, but if you live in Pearl River, Stone, and George County, we'll have to keep an eye out for a little patchy frost. I would say there's even a better potential by Thursday morning because the wind is going to be calming down. First things first, though, Wednesday afternoon, nice and cool with temperatures in the low 60s, and then we'll cool back down into the 30s and 40s by Thursday morning. With a calmer wind, I would say there's even a little better chance of getting some patchy frost inland. But again, this mainly goes for inland areas, not so much of a concern on the coast. As we get into the rest of the week, things will begin to warm up, and I want to point out too, by the next upcoming weekend for Peter Anderson Festival, weather is looking picture perfect with highs in the 70s. Quick update on the tropics. No concerns for the Gulf Coast at this time. We have two areas we're watching for possible tropical development. Neither of those are much of a concern for us. And it won't be long until we see that big cool down by Halloween. And also want to point out too, we set our clocks back 1 hour. Next weekend, we will go back to standard time.